Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Golden Podcast. Today we are at episode 8. So, with the hype of Kingdom Hearts 3, I decided to bring on a very special guest. He hasn't been here since our Sailor Moon video, but let's introduce him. And everybody, make sure and go and follow him on Twitter. I'll leave the link to his Twitter in the description section, as well as whatever channel he wants me to leave too. But anyways, how are you doing today, Sailor Dodo? You ready to talk some Kingdom Hearts?
I most certainly am. Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite series of all time. Got me into the RPG genre nonetheless, and if anybody knows me, they know I love myself a good RPG. Action RPGs, any of it. I'm so excited to talk about this with you today.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, because you mentioned RPGs and even in the Sailor Moon video, so hell yeah, looks like we're ready to start.
I'm very enthusiastic.
Oh yeah, so I think the best thing to do to start off this podcast is basically tell each other, how did we first get introduced to Kingdom Hearts, and what was our first impressions of it? So I guess I'll start. So, I was watching Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network one day whenever I was maybe like 12 or 13 years old, and the commercial for Kingdom Hearts was on, and I thought to myself like, wow, this game looks pretty dang good. And I remember at the very end of the commercial, I was like, really? Does this main character really have to have those clown shoes? Kind of ruins his design. And I do have to say, like, I definitely understand where I was coming from back then, because I definitely prefer Kingdom Hearts to Get Up to Sora rather than the first game. But I guess I'll let you.
Yeah, he really does wear clown shoes, I will give you that. His feet are way too big for the size of body he has. That's always been a weird design choice for me when it comes to Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I guess I'll let you start. How'd you get introduced to it? Did you see it commercial like me?
No, matter of fact, I used to know a guy on YouTube. I used to watch his videos. We became pretty good friends over the internet, and he was a big fan of Kingdom Hearts. He got me into many JRPG games, such as the Tales of series, but the very first one, he was like, dude, you gotta play Kingdom Hearts. And I was like, okay, alright, sure, I'll trust your word for it. I went to a used store and I saw Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS2 for $5. Thought it was a great deal, so I decided, okay, let's see what the fuss is about. And I also had heard, like, good news through reviewers and things like that about Kingdom Hearts, so I figured that I was in for a good time. I opened up the game, popped that sumbitch in my PS2, and I had no idea what was going on. Yes, it was not a good idea to start with the second game, but
That's where I started too. I mean, I traded my friend my Budokai Tenkaichi game, the first one, to play Kingdom Hearts 2, and I was kind of hoping that he'd forget to get his game back because it was so good. Way better than Tenkaichi.
Oh god, yeah, I can totally see that. Kingdom Hearts 2, my enjoyment solely came from gameplay, but of course I enjoyed the characters of that game. I was intrigued by Sora. I liked Sora as a lead character. Riku was pretty cool. Kairi, she was a cute girl. Probably one of my first gaming waifus ever, to be honest. I don't know, and I always thought the Disney representation couldn't have done any better. That was something that I was sort of worried about, because I didn't grow up on Disney, so I don't have very much nostalgia with Disney. I was always a more Nickelodeon kid than Disney. Or Pixar, Disney, Pixar, etc. But I thought that Disney, it wasn't shoehorned in there as a gimmick. I thought it fit very naturally within the game. Donald and Goofy being Sora's party members just worked so naturally to me. They just seemed like a part of the cast, and I really respected that. By the time I got to the end of the game, I had no idea what to think about it because I didn't understand the plot, but I loved the characters and I loved the gameplay. So I figured I went out that weekend, I bought 1.5 on the PS3, and from there on, that's where my love of the series really blossomed.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I remember thinking back then about the whole thing about you saying, you didn't grow up on Disney. Well, I grew up on Disney, so I had a very huge bias towards it. And also, I've experienced Final Fantasy games, so I also had a huge bias against those two. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who didn't think that they thought at first that the whole like mixing of Final Fantasy or Disney didn't sound weird or stupid or something like that. And And like you said, I didn't really understand the story either, but I guess that's where Jiminy's journal comes in, because that's pretty much how I learned everything from the first game. But I don't know, I guess like because I played Kingdom Hearts 2, I never really got to get like that shock that a lot of people said whenever Organization 13 kind of popped out of nowhere. I mean, seemingly just because of like the whole thing with the problem is that a lot of people didn't play Chain of Memories. I still have never played it myself, and it's a really important game, I feel like, to understanding what goes on in between just Kingdom Hearts.
The game, I will tell you that the game has one of the best stories of the franchise, and I think that's where you see Sora's character at its very best, because as you progress through the castle, he starts to lose memories, and this makes him mad. He eventually just sort of becomes obsessed with making it to the top. He becomes obsessed with this girl he never knew, Naminé, and I always thought that was really well written, some of the best written material within the Kingdom Hearts series. They sort of ruined that with the really strange gameplay that they went for with that game. But I believe if you want to go on YouTube and watch the cutscenes from that game, I highly recommend watching it as a movie over playing it as a game, because the material is really strong in terms of the story.
Yeah, and that's kind of a shame that Chain of Memories wasn't easily accessible for everyone, just because, like, you had Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation 2, and then you had Chain of Memories on a Nintendo console, so it was just kind of bizarre to me that they went from PlayStation to Nintendo and then to PlayStation again. But again, like, a lot of people say, like, the whole thing of, like, Kingdom Hearts story and just how, like, spin-off games, like, don't necessarily seem like on the surface that they'd be important to the story, but they are extremely important to understanding everything, and that's kind of one of the things I find nuts and kind of interesting and cool about Kingdom Hearts at the same time. Because it's kind of a double-edged sword that these spin-off games, like, you'd think that they'd be one-off things that aren't really that important, maybe kind of explain one thing, but then you kind of find out that these games are very, I guess, just essential if you want to understand the full big picture.
Yeah, they're all important pieces in the puzzle, excluding Recoded. Recoded is basically one cutscene at the very end of the game that sets up Dream Drop Distance, but the entirety of Recoded, aside from that ending cutscene, is pretty much meaningless. But if you're talking games like 358 over 2 days, they are pretty much vital into understanding characters, getting more out of the series. It's hard to go from Kingdom Hearts 1 to 2, because as you said, many people did that due to Chain of Memories being on the Game Boy Advance. Like, not everyone had that, of course. So there was a lot of people with Organization 13. Who are they? Why isn't there 13 members in Organization 13? Because we already took care of some of them in Chain of Memories, you know? So it is sort of weird how that works, but with the collections now, there really isn't any excuse not to dabble in these games at the very least, because Square Enix has made the series as accessible could possibly be at this point. It's not as hard as it was in the early 2000s, I can tell you that much.
Oh, absolutely not. And, I mean, I love that they released every single game onto one disc, but I already have the 2.5 final mix, so I don't know if I'm ever going to get that, because if I do, it's mostly going to be so I can experience 358 and a half days in HD quality.
Yeah.
Because that's probably one of my favorites on the actual Kingdom Hearts games. That's my favorite, I guess, spin-off game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what's your actual favorite Kingdom Hearts game? Like, just total.
That, it will become as a surprise to many, but the one that I hold the most love towards is the original Kingdom Hearts game. People will be like, what? How could you like that over 2? But, I don't know, there was just something so charming about the very start of the adventure. Sora, Riku, and Kairi wanting to build a raft, going out to see the world. It felt very innocent to me. And yeah, it's not as technically refined as other games of the series, but it's the game that really resonated with my soul the most, and it's the Kingdom Hearts game that I think about the most. It's the one Kingdom Hearts game that when I look back on the things that happen in it, kind of brings a tear to my eye, because it actually has a heavy nostalgia factor for me too. Even more than Kingdom Hearts 2, despite the fact that that was the one I first played. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1, I would say, is my favorite overall of the series. Strange pick, but I have to admit it.
Yeah, I would say that story-wise, I would say that Kingdom Hearts 1 is the best. I would say I prefer that one over Kingdom Hearts 2, but I just love Kingdom Hearts 2 just because of all the transformations and all that kind of stuff. It adds a really big element to what makes a lot of fights fun.
Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 is my most played game of the series, just because of how fun the combat is. All the forms, everything that the Keyblades do, the worlds, the extra content. I believe that it is objectively the best Kingdom Hearts game that you can play to this very day. Until 3 comes out, of course, which I believe, or at least hope, that 3 will surpass Kingdom Hearts 2 in terms of gameplay quality and whatnot. I really do hope so.
Yeah, I've heard that IGN, I don't know if it's in Japan, but I guess IGN already rated Kingdom Hearts 3, and they gave it a 9 out of 10. And because of how harsh they are on their reviews of every single game, that makes me pretty excited to actually play it.
Yeah, it means that IGN aren't notorious for being very favorable with the Kingdom Hearts series, so when they gave the Kingdom Hearts series that high of a ranking, when we're getting into masterpiece quality even from IGN, we know that we're in for something special, because this was so good that even IGN had to admit, you know what, this game is actually really, really damn good. We have to rate it accordingly. Where usually they're like, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, I don't know, just Kingdom Hearts, Zehanort, blah. That's what they basically do.
Right? And usually, a lot of people, I guess, say that the story of Kingdom Hearts, I don't know, is kind of unsatisfying in some ways, so that kind of tells me that this story actually wraps up in a very satisfying way, because, in all honesty, I think the endings to Kingdom Hearts, the original and the end to Kingdom Hearts 2, are both kind of games that you just kind of want to see what happens next. Instead of it feeling like, oh, we just got done with this game, and now we can, rest for a bit and not have to worry about what happens next. No. Anytime I've played those two games, I'm always like, okay, I want to play the next one.
Yeah, because they always sort of end on cliffhangers when you think of the ending, and this is spoilers, by the way, folks, but the ending of Kingdom Hearts 1, you have Sora and Kairi being separated, and Sora goes off in his own world, and Kairi's back on Destiny Islands, and then you get the ending of Kingdom Hearts 2, which, sort of does end satisfying until they get that letter, meaning that there's more adventures coming. I think that Kingdom Hearts 2 probably could have ended that way, but the letter is sort of the thing that's like, okay, then I guess there's still more. What comes now?
Yes, right. As soon as I saw that, I was like, well, time to wait for Kingdom Hearts 3, which will probably come out soon because of their track record. Oh, how we were wrong.
Yeah, let's just say I hope for our sake, or in our patience, that Kingdom Hearts 3 has a conclusion which it wraps up the entire story of what we've seen in a satisfactory way. Because there's no way I can in good taste wait another decade or so for Kingdom Hearts 4 to come out. I just cannot do this again.
No, and I think that what they're going to do if they make more Kingdom Hearts games is that they're going to start a whole new saga. Just because Kingdom Hearts up until now has been all about, defeating Xehanort and Xemnas.
Yeah, really, it's just been Heartless Nobody, Xehanort, Darkness. That's basically what it's been all about, and I think Kingdom Hearts 3, the ending, will bring an ending to all of that. It'll bring the end to the story as we know it. And I think if there is a Kingdom Hearts 4, I very much doubt that this game will leave us on a cliffhanger. I think if Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out, it will just be Sora, Riku, and Kairi on Destiny Islands, and then we get the starting of a new plot. But with Kingdom Hearts 3, due to the extremely favorable reviews the game is getting, I think that this is a good, satisfactory ending to everything that we have seen up to this point, which we need. We deserve that type of ending after the patience we've had. We really do, folks.
Oh, absolutely, especially since whenever Birth by Sleep came out, that added tons of new lore and just new plot lines that need to be resolved. So, because yeah, with Birth by Sleep, I'm pretty surprised they actually made a sequel the first time that it ever came out. And I really do like the idea of actually being able to play as more than just one character. I would probably say, though, I prefer Aqua the most out of all three of them.
For me, Birth by Sleep, it was a surprising, like, when I was going through the games, I thought, oh, Birth by Sleep, that's sort of going to be its own thing, but then I found out, no, you should actually play that one before one, since it's sort of a prologue towards one. I was like, oh, okay. I played that. I really enjoyed playing as 3 individual characters. I feel like it can be a tad repetitive, because you go through the same worlds in pretty much the same order, but the gameplay diversity of the 3 characters, where you have Terra, who's the strong boy, you've got Ventus, who is sort of good at everything but doesn't excel at anything, and then you have Aqua, who's very defensive and magic oriented. It made it entertaining enough for me to play through the game 3 times. If you want to know my favorite character of that game, it would probably be Terra, and in Kingdom Hearts 3, you do not know how badly I want to see him become a Keyblade Master. That is one story. I want to see him get that body back. I want to see him prove his worth. I want to see him fight his demons, and I want to see him live his dream and become a Keyblade Master. That's like what the top of my list of wants for Kingdom Hearts 3 in terms of the story.
Oh yeah, I mean, all 3 of their stories ended up with them all in dark places, so...
Yeah, look, Birth by Sleep isn't a game that leaves you feeling very good at the end. Even when you unlock the final story, Aqua pretty much sacrifices herself. Ventus is basically in a coma. Aqua is stranded in the Land of Darkness. And Terra got taken over by Xehanort. Not a very good outcome. Not good at all.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a unique game whenever it comes to the Kingdom Hearts series. I would say the only game that comes close to being as dark at times is 358 and a half Days, and that's a really good game. Because I've never played it HD yet, because that's, like, again, like, one of the reasons why I would get the story so far, because I want to play that game with not on the DS.
Unfortunately, in the 2.5, it is just a movie. I would love nothing more, though, than to play that game in HD myself, because I feel like it is a game that really does deserve the full HD treatment, because it was pretty exceptional, especially for, like, a spin-off game, as many people will say. It was one of the high points for the spin-off games. If you want my favorite spin-off game, it would probably be Birth by Sleep, but 358 is a very, very, very close second.
Oh yeah, 358 and a half Days is my favorite spin-off game for sure. I definitely would say that Coded is probably my least favorite, like, easily.
Coded is easily my least favorite game of the series. Especially Recoded, Coded, black.
But yeah, again, I've never played Chain of Memories, so maybe that could be a contender if I were to actually play it. But then again, I've heard in the story so far that they've converted it into a regular Kingdom Hearts game, basically.
When it comes to Chain of Memories and Chain of Memories, it sort of is the same combat system. I feel like the game plays a little bit better on the Game Boy Advance, to be honest with you. It's just, controls feel a little bit more tight. The combat makes more sense due to hardware limitations. The game on the PS2, don't get me wrong, it is a good sort of remake of it if you wanted to conveniently own Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts 2 all on the PS2. Square Enix did do a good job with that. I believe that the gameplay is of course it's the weakest aspect of Chain of Memories, but it does have some strategy to it, and the strategy can be fun with the slates, and everything involving that with special attacks. It's mathematics. I'm not good with math, if you couldn't tell. I've never beaten the game off normal difficulty. Normal's the highest I can go when it comes to Chain of Memories, because my mind is as slow as heck when it comes to math. But the story definitely carries Chain of Memories to being a good game, I would say. A good entry into the series, because you have probably the worst gameplay of the series with the best story of the series, so it both kind of make it in the middle somewhere. The worst and the best. That's what I would say Chain of Memories is.
That's really interesting. I guess like one thing we could mention is, what did you think about Dream Drop Distance? Because for me, I'd probably say I have a love-hate relationship with that game.
I would also have a love-hate relationship with Dream Drop Distance. Dream Drop Distance is my favorite Kingdom Hearts game in terms of gameplay, flow motion. Oh my goodness, you do not know how much fun I had exploring the worlds with flow motion, just bouncing off of everything, jumping to the highest of highs, all of the attacks. Yeah, it is a blast in that aspect. Everything feels so fast and fluid. It's a game that really put a smile on my face. I love the worlds. The bosses are pretty fun, but there is definitely a but to this. The storyline in this game, I have played Dream Drop Distance twice on the 3DS and once on the 2.8 remake, and boy, I can't understand it, to be honest with you. I might need to watch a YouTube video on it before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, but I don't know what happened here. It gets into time travel, and time travel is a very easy thing to mess up and make confusing, and Kingdom Hearts did just that, and they made it messy and very confusing. At least from my perspective. I could be a little bit dumb and I'm just not seeing something or understanding something, but I definitely play Dream Drop Distance for the fun gameplay in the worlds over the story, because boy, it is a head scratcher, to say the least.
Absolutely. I would probably describe Dream Drop Distance as a flip side, as a mere coin, I guess, of Chain of Memories. Great gameplay, but terrible story.
Yeah, it really is interesting when you put it that way. Polar opposites.
Absolutely, because there's another thing that really confused me about that. I mean, the whole thing with Xehanort, I guess, time traveling really confused me. And then, I guess just like Axel being alive again, that really confused me, and just kind of learning how nobody really dies. Like, that kind of killed Kingdom Hearts 2 for me, like, story-wise, just because all of these emotional deaths basically meant nothing.
Yeah, I really felt that way, because before you get to the world that never was in Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora teams up with Axel, and they have this epic fight with a whole bunch of Heartless, and then Axel, he sacrifices himself, and you see him burning away, fading away, and it's meant to be this emotional death, and to be fair, it's very well done. It's a great scene in Kingdom Hearts 2, but then you see Axel again in Dream Drop Distance, and he's also back to being Lee, his human form, before he became a nobody. I don't know how that happened still. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, Kingdom Hearts kind of has that knack for throwing in those kind of things that make no sense. I guess that's why I like Kingdom Hearts, the first one, is just because as a standalone story, like, you don't really have to think about things too deeply, and most of the things like darkness and light and stuff like that are just basically metaphors for good and evil, I've always interpreted. So I mean,
yeah. That's definitely the reason why I enjoy Kingdom Hearts 1 so much, because I feel like as a standalone game, I think it takes, like, the gameplay, like I said, it's not the best, but it's not the worst in the series by a long shot. It's not the worst gameplay in the series, and the storyline, it makes sense, which is something that many other Kingdom Hearts stories don't have. The characters are still as good as they ever were, the plotline is easy to follow and stay up to date with, the combat is fun, the bosses are fun, and that's why I hold a lot of respect for Kingdom Hearts, is because I always felt like this is the safe haven before things got really crazy. That's how I've always interpreted Kingdom Hearts 1.
oh yeah, and now is a really good time to play that game with the remixes out, because I remember the original Kingdom Hearts being a lot slower and just a lot more clunky, but I guess, like, whenever I played the remixes now, I can't really tell much gameplay difference with, like, how Sora handles in between 1 and 2, because they really updated the first one and made it feel a lot smoother than it did originally.
Well, there is a little something interesting to note here. Square Enix basically lost the files of Sora's original character model in Kingdom Hearts 1, so what they did was is they took his character model, and maybe this carried over to some engine physics, I don't know, but they took his character model, they ported his character model from Dream Drop Distance, put Kingdom Hearts 1 clothes on it, HD'd them all up, and that's the character model that we got in Kingdom Hearts 1 in the remixes. We got his Dream Drop Distance model with Kingdom Hearts clothes. Maybe that affected some of the gameplay, because I feel what you're saying there. Because Kingdom Hearts 1 felt slower, clunkier on the PS2, but when I play it on the PS3 and the PS4, especially PS4 when it's running in 60 frames a second, it feels a lot more fluid, quick. I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels better somehow.
Yeah, I guess like a good way to put it for me is that I guess the transition from Kingdom Hearts 1 to 2 doesn't feel as jarring as it did back in the day. Because I remember I could not transition between those two games without it feeling drastically different.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Like when I went from Kingdom Hearts 1, like when I played 1.5 and then because I was such a fanboy for Kingdom Hearts 1, I had to get the game on the PlayStation 2 just to be authentic. So I played it there. And there was actually a few differences I noticed, and basically everything was worse about it. It was a worse version of the version that you get on the remixes, which I do implore people to buy the 1.5, 2.5 remixes. Every game, 60 frames a second, smooth. They are the best versions of the game, all in one disc. It's incredible. And the pricing, not expensive. Not expensive at all. I saw it at a used store for $9.95. There's no excuse to not play Kingdom Hearts at this point. So when people are going like, well, I'm just going to play Kingdom Hearts 3, you're not going to stop me. Well, you should probably play the other games beforehand when they're that cheap. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. To know the series, know the characters, etc. It's just kind of weird to me how some people go into 3 with that I don't give a shit mentality of the series. It's actually kind of offending to me as a longtime fan of the series.
I agree, because I would say as a, like, bare bones, like, I think you need to play Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, and Dream Drop Distance. Like, bare bones, like, to go into 3 without feeling like you're pretty much missing everything.
Yeah, that's sort of, and that's like you say, bare bones. Like, that's the least effort that you could put into it. And when it comes to games like 358 Days, I really do believe if you want to know Roxas' story, because Roxas, he's probably, I'd say, the best written character in Kingdom Hearts, personally. Roxas, he's such a phenomenally well done character. Call me crazy, but there's some times that I actually like him more than Sora. Especially
I actually like him more than Sora.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, because there's just something that seems more human about him, his portrayal, his emotions. Sora is more of the, alright, we're gonna stop the bad guy, I'm white, I'm the lead character, let's go, woo! And Roxas...
Super friendship and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Roxas, though, he's not portrayed like that. Roxas is portrayed as a realistic person with feelings, fears, emotions, etc. And that's something that I really respect about his representation in 358 Days. If you couldn't tell, Kevin and I really enjoy 358 Days. It is a great, great game.
Him trying to find his purpose and making friends along the way and kind of learning about Organization 13. I absolutely love that game, and it's one of those games where I like the allies the most too, because one of my complaints about, I guess, playing Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance is how you don't really get any allies, and whenever you do, like, they're either those little animals in the Dream Drop Distance, and then whenever...
Yeah, Dream Eaters, they're my least favorite companions by a country mile.
Oh yeah, and me either, I don't like them that much. And then Birth by Sleep, you only get allies, like, for fights, basically.
But 358, the thing that they would do is, occasionally on missions, you would get to team up with members of the Organization 13, which I thought was a really neat thing to do.
Oh yeah, definitely, because, I don't know, because, like, Sora gets called Roxas a lot by Organization 13 members in Kingdom Hearts 2, and it really is interesting to see Roxas's relationship with all of those Organization 13 members. Because I really think it also really kind of makes you feel for Axel whenever Roxas doesn't recognize him in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah. After playing 358 for the very first time, I replayed Kingdom Hearts 2. And you know that scene I'm talking about after the Roxas battle, where him and Axel and Roxas are on top of the Twilight Town clock tower, and they share one last sea salt ice cream with one another. I didn't know how to interpret that scene. I didn't know how to feel about it when I originally played Kingdom Hearts 2. But when you find out their friendship, and also this ties into the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, especially where it's like, you know, Roxas, you don't remember me? I'm like your best friend. What's going on here? Playing 358 really gives that bond meaning. You find out that Roxas and Axel really do share a really great bond. One of the best bonds of the series, in my opinion. A great human friendship, and that's something that I will always love about 358. Then you also get Shion and Shion's character. Y'all can shit on the scene where it's like, who am I going to eat ice cream with? That's sort of become a meme. But if you play that game, you'll realize that that's all really Roxas knows. That's what friends do. They go and eat ice cream. So it's like, what am I going to do now? It's a lot sadder than you think it is. It's sort of like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when, like, oh, Caesar! Ha ha ha, funny meme. Not so much when you actually know the context behind it.
True, and funny you mention anime, because I was going to draw a connection. I would say that Kingdom Hearts 2, like, playing that is kind of like starting Dragon Ball with the Saiyan arc, and Kingdom Hearts 358 and a half days is kind of like watching the original Dragon Ball. Like, if you don't watch the original Dragon Ball, you don't get the context for a lot of these characters, so I feel like that in the Saiyan arc, like, a lot of people who didn't watch original Dragon Ball before didn't really have, like, their heartstrings tugged on whenever all the heroes were dying one after another.
Yeah, it does give you the context behind it. That is a good comparison. It's like, yeah, you could go into the Saiyan arc, you could enjoy it for what it is, but you would enjoy it so much more if you knew the cast prior, what they went through, etc. And that goes for if you played Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, 358, all before you played Kingdom Hearts 2. The game has so much meaning in its plot that otherwise doesn't make any sense, really, if you don't know what's going on. It is a very situational game for people who are in the know that have played the other games. It really is like that.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's a very crazy series, too, because these games did not come out in order. Like, you'd get Kingdom Hearts, and then I don't know what the next one was. I'm pretty sure it was 2, and then Chain of Memories, and then I don't know the next one. I'm probably sure it's like Recoded or something.
Yeah, it's a wild timeline. Like, for instance, the very first game, Kingdom Hearts, I believe, came out in 2001. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the initial release year for Kingdom Hearts 1, the very first one. The game that comes beforehand, the prologue, came out in 2009. You sort of see the point where it's like, technically the very first game of a series that came out in 2001 didn't come out all the way till 2009. So it is a very wild series, as you said, in that aspect.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like, too, because most prequels I've experienced aren't necessary to get the whole picture of everything. Usually it just kind of, like, explains, like, fun facts of, like, oh, this is how this came about or something. But Birth by Sleep, it's just insane how essential it is to actually understanding Kingdom Hearts 3. Just because there's so much stuff in that game that's unresolved. And I mean, even the whole plot line of Kingdom Hearts 3 about the whole, Keyblade, like the one with the funny letter, like the Keyblade or whatever.
The X-Blade?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the X-Blade. And just that's pretty much where Kingdom Hearts 3 revolves around, is Xehanort trying to get the Keyblade War started up again and obtaining the X-Blade.
It really is crazy how Birth by Sleep in hindsight actually means more to the Kingdom Hearts lure and plot than the original game does, Kingdom Hearts 1, because Kingdom Hearts 1, it's kind of its own self-containing thing now. It's just, we went there, we did that, but now none of what happened there really concerns us. Because Ansem, the Secret of Darkness, he's done, He ain't coming back except for when they brought him back in Dream Drop Distance, and that's why Dream Drop Distance is a mind screw of a game, because we just brought him back at random. But he's gone now again, I think. I would hope so, for 3. But yeah, Birth by Sleep, it is crazy how much that game means to the overall series. A game that didn't even seem like, in hindsight, it's a game that many people would go, well, it's not numbered, so who cares? No, it actually means more than some of the numbered games. It's so wild.
Oh yeah, I feel you there. But, I mean, have you ever read the Kingdom Hearts manga? Because I remember, like, several years back at least, I saw it on a manga shelf at a bookstore, and I was super surprised to find out that it actually exists.
I actually own a couple of volumes of the Kingdom Hearts manga, and the thing is, I've read them out of order. I've read, like, Kingdom Hearts 1 and Hollow Bastion. I've read that part. I think it's really good. The artwork is nice. It's a good representation of the series. It's definitely something to check out if you're a fan of the series. I have not read the entirety of it myself, but I do own a couple of volumes here and there for my collection, and it is pretty cool to check out if you want more Kingdom Hearts. Everything is really well done, and it is a unique art style. It's not like the one that you get from Tetsuya Nomura in the game. It's its own thing. I wouldn't call it an acquired taste because I think it's pretty universally appealing, but do go in noting that it is going to look substantially different than the games do, at least the game artwork.
Yeah, I've read a few chapters here and there just because I wanted to see how the manga handled certain scenes. I can't really think of any off the top of my head just because it's been so long since I've actually cracked open the manga. But I guess we can wrap up the video by just kind of saying what we feel about Kingdom Hearts 3 right before it comes out, and I guess what do we think we're going to expect, and I guess I'll start out with this. It's not going to feel real to me until I'm actually sitting down and playing it on my couch, or maybe whenever I'm actually buying it from the retailer. Because it's been so long since Kingdom Hearts 3 has been in production, or at least we thought it was in production, that I don't know, it's like even now, I still can't believe that it's going to be coming out in 2 days, as of this recording, anyways.
Yeah, it's... For me, with Kingdom Hearts 3, it is the exact same as you. I've been waiting for that game for longer than I can imagine. I remember watching leaked YouTube videos of, oh, it's coming out in late 2016! I remember that. And here we are all the way in early 2019. Still not quite out yet, but it's coming out very shortly. So it'll be one of those very surreal experiences when I finally have the game in my hand. I've always lived with this strange metaphor where it's, I cannot die until I play Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, anything can happen because I am going to have Kingdom Hearts 3 in my hand. I can see the conclusion of everything, and honestly, I cannot wait. It's just like you said, it's one of those surreal things, and I think this is going to probably be Game of the Year, at least for me anyways, just due to how much love I have for the series. I am going in with high expectations because the game, it's warranted to go into high expectations, so hopefully my expectations are met and I'm not disappointed. And judging from the insanely high critical reception the game has gotten due to the fact that it's already released in Japan, I think I'm in for a very good time, and I won't be let down.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's definitely going to be as good of an experience for me playing Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2 for the first time. And I guess, like, the one thing I'm really looking forward to the most, I would say, is playing the Toy Story level.
Oh god, yes! Oh god, that's such good taste! I've wanted Toy Story and Kingdom Hearts for so long. Toy Story is my favorite animated movie ever! Do you know, I cheered so loud when that got announced. I fanboyed so hard. Oh, I'm so excited for that.
It really is surreal to see that, because that was the movie I was probably the most obsessed with as a kid.
Same here.
And maybe you relate with that too.
Yes, yeah, I really do relate with that. Toy Story, I had the VHS of that, and I would put it on a loop. I would watch that pretty much every single day, Toy Story, and I still love it to this very day when I look back at it. It's a movie that has stood the test of time for me. And now, when my favorite gaming series, or at least one of my favorite gaming series anyway, is going to do a crossover with that world, it's unreal to think about such greatness. It really is. Can't say I'm excited about the Frozen world because I don't have a good relationship with Frozen, but Toy Story makes up for it.
That's understandable. Oh my gosh, I am. As soon as I saw Toy Story, I knew that I was just gonna love this game, but there is only one thing I am disappointed with, and that is that there is no Nightmare Before Christmas in this game.
That is sad.
And that really pains me because that's always been my favorite stage in both games.
Especially when they added Christmas Town. And you want to know something that I thought is there was tree doors for every single holiday inside Kingdom Hearts 2, but you only go to Christmas Town. I honestly thought that in Kingdom Hearts 3 these were foreshadowing and you would be able to go to like Easter Town, etc., Valentine's Day Town, etc. I thought that you would have been able to do that. Very unfortunate that they cut that world, they axed it, and somehow kept Pirates of the Caribbean. I really would have preferred them to put Nightmare Before Christmas over Pirates of the Caribbean, just because I think that, artistically speaking, and even character-wise, the world of Kingdom Hearts fits Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas way better than the realistic, gritty settings of Pirates of the Caribbean. But
yes, I could not say that better myself, because I've always thought in Kingdom Hearts 2 that Sora and them look so out of place in Pirates of the Caribbean.
yeah, totally. Especially like with the boss. I can't remember the boss's name, but it's just, you have this realistic...
Barbossa.
Yeah, Barbossa. You have this really gritty looking guy that's nothing but skeletons, and then we have these cartoonish anime characters fighting, and it's just... You know, where Disney and Final Fantasy worked well, this really doesn't work well. It's like putting ice cream in ketchup. It doesn't taste very good.
Nope. I guess I'm glad that we're not going to be going to Agrabah again, because that's always been a stage I've always felt like it's kind of eh.
Yeah, I didn't mind the expansion when you got the magic carpet section in 2, but that stage does certainly drag out in Kingdom Hearts 1 for my liking. So Agrabah being cut, I'm okay with. It even took a little bit and Recoded. Recoded especially was super boring to get through. I'd say that was the worst version of that stage, easily. But it is a stage that I'm okay with being cut. You just could have put Nightmare Before Christmas instead of Agrabah, though. It's like, I really missed that stage. But you can't be a perfect game, I guess. Nothing can be perfect.
If it was perfect, I mean, it really have to be somebody's definition of perfect. I mean, I just remember back, like, whenever WALL-E came out, remember people were saying, like, oh, there's going to be a WALL-E world in Kingdom Hearts 3. Imagine that timeline.
That would be a strange timeline, to say the least. A WALL-E world. So what? You want a doomsday planet inside Kingdom Hearts 3 where there's only 2 robots on the planet? Okay, that's weird, but whatever floats your boat, guys, really.
Yeah, but I guess that's pretty much like all I have to say about Kingdom Hearts 3 before it actually comes out. We'll be back here, guys, to talk about this in maybe about a month, maybe less if we get done with it, but I assume you're going to be playing the hell out of it, and so am I.
Yep, same here. As soon as I actually have the deluxe edition pre-ordered, I'm going out day 1 and getting that, and as soon as I get it, I'm basically going to be missing in action for the better part of a week. I'm going to be pretty much off social media just bashing the heck out of that game. Just to, like, finish it pretty much as fast as possible so we can do a follow-up video explaining our thoughts. Basically, a podcast review of the game, essentially.
Oh yeah, and I think we're going to have a lot to say about it. It's just because it's going to be kind of, I would say, like, change our opinions of maybe previous games or kind of touching upon plot points of, again, like previous games. So who knows if we actually like what happens, or I'm pretty sure we're going to, because if IGN is rating Kingdom Hearts 3 as a good game, then that tells me pretty much automatically that the story is going to be at least amazing. I think, like, maybe Chain of Memories as good as that, because you make it sound like Chain of Memories is an amazing story.
It really does have an amazing story, but if Kingdom Hearts 3, since this game is tying up all the loose ends, it could easily surpass Chain of Memories as well. If it ends everything in a nice way, if everyone sort of gets their happy ending and it's satisfying, it could easily surpass Chain of Memories. But Chain of Memories, you do have to remember, there's one thing to take in mind with Chain of Memories, is that I really like Marluxia. I love the villain of Chain of Memories, and it's because I've always had a thing with very psychological, intellectual villains. I've always had a thing for them. And Marluxia, he's this bright pink-haired, he has this huge depth scythe, and he's an intellectual, uses big words, goes on big speeches. That's definitely a part of why I like the story of Chain of Memories so much. And of course, Sora's character representation being quite a bit more than just, let's save the day, friendship will prevail, blah blah blah. Sora, he actually is like, you know what, screw you, Donald and Goofy, I only care about this one person. So it shows another layer of his character on top of that. So it's Sora being the best Sora he's ever been, and also one of my favorite leads of, well, not the lead, but at least the lead villain of the entire series. So do take that into consideration, that I am just a bit of a fanboy when it comes to the story of Chain of Memories. But it is, I think, objectively very good.
Yeah, and I mean, you heard him, guys. Make sure you play that game if you haven't, because I need to play it too. But
yeah, or at least just watch the scenes on YouTube to spare yourself the gameplay at the very least. You can just do that.
yeah, that also works, because the remix games, and I'm pretty sure that the story so far probably has just the story mode, I'd imagine. But, I mean, and besides that, do you have anything else to say before we wrap it up? Any last thoughts?
No, I think I have said everything I need to say in this podcast.
All right, awesome. Thank you for joining me. It was a lot of fun. And guys, make sure you check the links in the description for Sailor Dodo's Twitter and YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to whatever video he wants me to show you guys. But anyways, that will do it for the podcast. And I hope you all have a great day. And thank you so much for listening.